This is the Nikon Z6 II. Let's add an extra eye. Now that's much better. It's now a Nikon Z3. August is almost over, and I've been looking through all the rumor sites for information about the Nikon Z3. I've even got bored and tried to translate some foreign sites. No luck. The word for a new release of a mirrorless camera from Nikon was rumored to be late August. But August is almost over. Most of the speculation was the release of a Nikon Z3 or a Z8. Still hadn't happened. Nikon, throw us a bone. Guess what? I found a bone while digging. It's time for another photo news brief. What's going on in the Nikon stratosphere? Nothing at this moment. But that doesn't mean that we can't talk about what Nikon has in store for the latter part of 2022. This year, Nikon released a Nikon Z30 for the content creators, but nothing for the full-frame crowd to comment on our YouTube channels. How are we supposed to keep our channels going? But something happened. As I was Googling the search term Nikon Z6 III, I came across this typo. Or is it? This is for all you people that like Easter eggs and conspiracies. Is B&H Photo preparing for the release? Maybe one of the associates had the information and made a bad entry. You be the judge of that. As mentioned in the previous video, go to the link above. I think Nikon will release a new full-frame camera in the first or second quarter of Nikon's fiscal year 2023. Nikon's fiscal year started August the 4th, 2022. My guess is the Nikon Z6 III. This new camera wouldn't compete with a Nikon Z9 like a Z8 would with similar features. If you have a good thing going, why ruin it with a competing camera? Only makes sense. And since this is all speculation, here's my wish list for a new Nikon Z6 III. I have to keep saying Z occasionally to make everyone happy. There are people across the pond that always comment that I say it wrong. I want to remind you that this is my personal list, as I am a Z6 II owner. Leave your comments with something you want on the list. Now let's go over my list of the things you might like in the next Z6 mirrorless camera. Number one thing, price. Keeping this camera at $2,500 will generate sales from the buyers that are undecided about their mirrorless camera needs. There's Canon, there's Sony, there's so many other mirrorless camera makers. Also, keeping the price low will help current Nikon users that don't want to invest in more expensive cameras like the Z7 II or even the Z9. The older Z6 II is now selling for below $1,800 US. Wishlist item number 2. The camera body. The camera body will most likely stay the same with the PSAM dial. It would be nice if they would add more customizations to the PSAM dial. I would love that. They did it on the FujiFilm camera. I love that addition. Also, who needs more function buttons? I have enough function buttons on here and I don't always use them all, but some photographers use them extensively. I don't want to make those guys mad. For the camera body, I would like to see an optional external fan. These cameras get hot with the smaller bodies. Even though you take the screen out, it still gets hot. These cameras get too hot to hold. Go to my video. Go to the link above. They already have a heat sink, but the compact design and the weather sealing makes the camera overheat. Number 3, the image sensor. This is a sticking point for most camera users in having to pick a sensor. Nikon has used Sony sensors created by Sony Semiconductor in their cameras in the past and in the present, namely the Nikon Z9. But Nikon isn't a sensor manufacturer, they are end users. The next Z6 III sensor will probably not be a stacked CMOS sensor from Sony. For some reason, everyone thinks everything's going stacked. Stacked sensors add cost to the camera. Most flagship cameras are stacked, thus the high cost. Nikon has a habit of reusing old sensors and tweaking the components. Maybe this time, Nikon will add 3 processors. That makes sense, right? If you want a new sensor just for a change of pace, let's go with a 33 megapixel sensor. That would be a game changer. Remember, this is a wish list. Nikon is probably staying with the old trusted 24 megapixel sensor. I had a high megapixel sensor, but I was always afraid of noise. But software is better now, so that noise is more controllable. Number 4 on my wish list. The autofocus is good, but it could be better. I'm still waiting on that magical firmware update to improve the subject tracking. Another thing is 3D tracking. Please add this, Nikon. I know you're gonna tell me that this isn't a Z9. I know this camera is geared towards the portrait event photographer, but having 3D tracking will help bring new users to this aging camera. Number 5 on my list, blackout. Damn it, man. You take multiple photos and you have to wait on the buffer to clear. That EVF. If you have a Z6 II, you'd understand. Or a Z7 II, you'd understand. Number 6, gotta get those fingers together. Shutter. Nikon will probably stay with the mechanical and electronic shutter design. If Nikon used an electronic shutter, then it would require a stacked image sensor, so we know that's not in the works. Also, with electronic shutters, there is a rolling shutter effect. The Nikon Z9 doesn't suffer from that. Nikon did a good job with that. Number 7, Nikon adds some of those sexy Kodaks that get Jared undone giddy. ProRes RAW 10-bit 422. See how that rolls off your tongue? I love my ProRes LT Kodak on the Atmos Ninja 5. Having to send your camera in to get ProRes RAW from your image sensor is a hassle. Make this a true hybrid camera and add some more ProRes Kodaks. Please, Nikon. That's my wish list for the next Nikon Z30 or whatever it will be named. My camera's starting to feel a little dated. Nikon, sprinkle some of that magical dust on your next full frame camera so that we can have more talking points about emerging technologies. Thank you for watching. Leave those comments. Watch my other